Welcome back, Charleston, as the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. So I want to answer this question that a lot of folks are considering right now, which is now the right time to buy a house? I mean, are prices about to start falling? No one wants to catch a falling sword. What should we do? Should we wait for interest rates to come down? What if they go up? There are a lot of questions, and it's causing a lot of people concern. And as a result, they're straddling the fence. So I want to address this topic. And again, if you're considering buying a house, man, we've got some really cool incentives for you as a buyer. And I'm going to get to those just a little bit later on in this segment. But I'll also tell you that if you're selling a home and buying another here locally, you plan on staying local, we'll pay your moving expenses. We've got variable commission plans, a bunch of different ways of helping you save money and making this process just easier for you. So if you'd like to learn more about some of those incentives and things that we offer, feel free to give me a call or text me at 843-800-0065, 843-800-0065, or go to listingsincharleston.com, listingsincharleston.com. So for a lot of people that, for would-be homeowners, I get that the current housing market is it's a challenge, right? There's a lot of conflicting information out there. It depends on where you go and what type of information you're looking for. But if you have some sort of narrative in mind about what's going on in the real estate market, you can find it. There are people that are sharing opinions that are a wide variety of doom and gloom versus everything will be fine, and everything in between. What we do know, of course, is that, the COVID pandemic has driven up prices significantly, and the Federal Reserve's, prolonged raising of interest rates has made mortgages a lot costlier than they have been in the past several years. And so as a result, a lot of people are just putting their purchases on hold or kicking the can down the road. Now, Fannie Mae has something called the Fannie Mae Home Purchase Sentiment Index, which revealed last month that 79% of people that were surveyed felt it was a bad time to buy a house right now. So, all these potential buyers out there, they have to make some difficult choices between buying now while prices and rates are high, or wait until this market starts to shift. And truly, it's an agonizing decision, and I empathize with that because, we're consultants for our clients. We want to go through this process with them and better understand what their concerns are, but ultimately what they're trying to accomplish. So it doesn't matter if the housing market's going up or down. Buying right now, it gives you the opportunity to start building equity right away. So that's the first thing we have to look at is, well, what's the alternative? Is the alternative just to rent? Because we all know that rent's not doing you any favors. It's not making you any money. There is no asset that you're paying toward. There's no investment. It's just money that gets thrown away in return for a place to live. So you get the opportunity, of course, to start building equity, but it also ensures against any potential increase in mortgage rates later, right? Whatever you lock in at is what you're locked in at. You can go below, but you can't go above. So when rates go up, it can really put a strain on your finances, obviously, and then it just leads to shelling out more money and interest over the life of the loan. So if you're thinking about buying a house, I think it's important to kind of first assess if the timing is right for you. So I think there are three questions to ask in relation to that. And the first is, do you have excellent credit? Do you even know what your credit score is? Or are there some issues on your credit report that make sense for you to address so that you can qualify for better interest rates? So the first one is, how's your credit? The second is, do you have enough saved for a down payment and have enough cash in the bank for a reserve fund for things that might come up that need to be repaired, so on and so forth. And then the last one is just, are you planning on staying in the house for a while? So if you answered yes to all of these questions, it's probably an indication that now would be a good time for you to buy. Now, good credit, which is a score of 740 or higher, can help you secure the best deals on mortgages from lenders who view you as a low-risk borrower due to your history of on-time payments. And we've talked on this program about the loan limit price adjustments that are in effect. They've been around for a long time, but the idea that someone with a better credit score and a larger down payment isn't getting as much of a benefit as somebody with a lower credit score and a smaller down payment just goes against everything that I was raised to understand about financial responsibility and the reward that should be attached to that. If I consistently make my payments, I'm going to have a higher credit score. If I'm financially diligent, I'm going to have more money for a down payment. Those are things that should be rewarded. But what they've done is they are incentivizing people with lower credit scores to get into real estate ownership. When in reality, let's be honest, we don't need more buyers in this market. We need more sellers. We need more inventory. If we're trying to achieve balance, then it's got to come from the supply side, not from the purchasing side, not from the demand side. But anyways, I digress. But your down payment should be substantial enough so that you'll have an additional cash reserve in case something unexpected happens and you've got to shell out some extra money for that. But the other thing that I would say is that since closing costs, when you're getting a mortgage, they're going to run about 3% of the purchase price of the property. So it's wise to ensure that your plan involves staying in the house for a while because, selling quickly, you don't pay a commission when you buy a property, but you sure do when you sell it. And so between the commission and the closing costs associated with selling it, that's going to be close to 10% of the sales price of the property. It's more like 9%, and there's some variables there. But you also had the cost associated with purchasing it. So the cost associated with buying it and selling it equate to about 12% of the value of the property. So you would need for the property to appreciate 12% in order for you to get your money back and break even. Now, of course, you are going to be paying down your mortgage, right? The balance of your loan over time. But the first few years of you paying mortgage payments, really all it's doing is just eating away at that interest. It's mostly interest. So you're not really doing a lot to affect the principal balance of your mortgage. So, you need to, in my mind, if this is a personal residence for you, it's not being looked at as an investment property. It needs to be something you're willing to stay in for a while. Now, we've also heard, and this is sometimes a roadblock that people have with regard to buying a house, and that's, doesn't applying for a mortgage hurt my credit score? So here's what you need to know about that. Factors like debt to income ratio, payment history, accounts and collections, credit card balances, loan inquiries, all of it contributes to your credit score. Mortgage inquiries have a minor and temporary impact on your score, especially if your credit history is strong. Now, multiple inquiries within a 2-week period are often counted as just one inquiry. And yes, those inquiries can remain on your credit when they pull your credit report for up to about 2 years, but the impact is very small. And let's be honest, it's necessary when applying for a mortgage, and it won't last long. So yes, to answer the question, pulling your credit can have an impact on your score. By how much, I don't know. And I don't know if that's a set number or not, but it's a necessary part of the process. And for us, we want to encourage folks to have discussions with lenders to get pre-approved, not only so that we're shopping with confidence, and then when we find something we like, we can make an immediate offer and accompany that offer with a pre-approval letter. But you also have the opportunity to interview multiple lenders within that 2-week period and have those interviews and those credit pulls not affect your score as much as it would be if you stretched it out over time. So, and I would say one more thing really quickly, which is that when you're interviewing lenders, just like you should be interviewing real estate agents, right? That's a big deal. It's a big it's a big transaction. There's a lot of money involved. Make sure you're working with the right person. But you want to, everybody always compares rates, right? That's the deciding factor when a buyer is going to choose a lender is, well, what's your interest rate? There's a lot more that goes into that. Yes, the interest rate is important, but you also need to look at the cost associated with obtaining that interest rate. How much upfront money are you going to have to pay in order to get that interest rate? What are the fees that particular lender is charging? So if you talk to lender number one today and they say, yeah, it's a 7% interest rate. And then a month later, you find something you want to buy, and then you interview another lender, and they say, yeah, it's a 6.75. And you go with that second lender because the rate's better. You need to have a conversation with that first lender and say, hey, I know that there has been some time that's gone by. What are the current rates looking like right now? In other words, don't compare apples and oranges. Make sure that you've got a nice and neat comparison at that same point in time so that you can truly gain an understanding of what that specific lender is going to offer you in the form of cost, right? So there's something that I alluded to this in the beginning of the segment, but we're offering something through some of our lender partners called our Rate Rebound Program. So what this is you can buy your house now, and if the rates drop by 0.5% or more in the next 5 years, they will refinance your loan with 0 lender fees, which is like the appraisal, the processing fee, the admin fee, so on and so forth. And they'll give you $1,000 credit toward all the other third-party closing costs, like attorney's fees and title work, so on and so forth. I mean, the goal is to get as close to no cost as possible to refinance when these rates at some point come down. You know, I certainly believe that at some point within the next 5 years, rates will be lower than they are today as inflation continues to temper, and as our economy gets back on track. So, and it should be known that these are for all conventional loans, for all government-backed loans like FA, VA, FHA, USDA, even jumbo loans. So the program is running until September 29th of this year. So any home that closes by September 29th qualifies for that program. So if that's something you'd like to learn more about, if you're thinking about buying a house, you got to learn more about this program. It's a game changer. Give me a call and I'll put you in touch with our lenders, and they'll walk you through the process. My number is 843-800-0065. That's 843-800-0065. Or you can just go online, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Stick around for more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show right here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.
It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Broadcast Saturday mornings at 9 and Sunday mornings at 10 on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.